Hello, my friends, and welcome. This is Katy. Thanks so much for stopping by. I'm back with another project for Maker Forte, and today we're making a simple one-layer card. Now, I wasn't really sure how to title this. I am just using a simple stamp set, and I'm using a stencil, so I thought we'd just label it creating a card with a stamp and stencil. So the stamp set that we're using is Under the Stars. I'm going to use some hot press watercolor paper. We're going to do some ink blending, and I'm going to use some Victorian velvet, seedless preserves, antique linen, and black soot. And I will do all my stamping with the Eclipse Black ink from Maker Forte. So to start, I'm using foam tools. I'm not using blending brushes. I find that blending brushes tend to leave a lighter color payoff. I have to work a little harder to get deeper saturation. So sometimes when I want a deeper saturation, I go for the foam tools, and that's why we're doing that today. So first layer is antique linen. Now I'm coming in with Victorian velvet, and it's important to apply pressure. Don't be afraid to get in there and let your arm hurt. I think I cut it out, but there was a point where I was using my little magnetic pieces to hold my cardstock down because my shoulder was hurting, and because I was really applying pressure to blend those colors together. I recommend 1000% hot press watercolor paper, especially if you struggle with ink blending. I talk about it in all my ink blending videos, because as you can see, the colors blend beautifully, and it doesn't matter what ink you use. You can use VersaFine Clairs, you can use, well, I've never ink blended with StazOn, but any ink, pigment, or dye, you will get the same result. They're going to blend really, really nicely. So this last color here is Seedless Preserve. I have a little smudge here, and I'm showing you that I'm just blending it out with that antique linen, and there's a faint smudge there, but overall it's gone. As you saw from the main picture, it's going to get, covered up anyway, but I come in a few more times with the Seedless Preserves, and it's important that when you're ink blending, you overlap your colors. Don't be afraid to get some of that Victorian velvet down into your antique linen, and of course your Victorian velvet up into your Seedless Preserves, because it's going to give you a nice smooth transition to each of the colors. So now I'm coming in with some black soot, and some people might use chipped sapphire, but for these colors, the black soot works beautifully. And now I'm going to come in with Seedless Preserves, and go over that black soot. Again, don't be afraid. Even though you have darker colors with that black soot, go over it, because it's going to give a nice smooth transition between that purple and that black. So now I'm going to come in with a little bit more black soot, blend it out a little bit more, and then come in again with a little bit more Seedless Preserves over top of that, and it's going to complete the panel. And I think that is just a really pretty blend. So hot press watercolor paper and pressure, you're going to be great. Okay, so getting ready to stamp our image. I treated my stamp with the Prime Time stamp conditioner from Maker Forte so that I could get a nice crisp impression. Now, I think there might be something wrong with my mouse pad or something. I really have to squish down. I ended up actually standing up at this point to push down to get pressure onto that stamp to get all the ink off. So it wasn't, anything other than I needed to really apply quite a bit of pressure to get that down. Now, as you saw after I did the stamping briefly, it looks like that's floating in the air. So I decided to take a little hill stencil. This actually came from one of the Crafter Party kits from February. This particular stencil is not available, but I will link up to a hill stencil that is available in the Maker Forte shop. But I wanted something to kind of fill it in. It's not perfect, but I wanted to give you an idea of a way to fill some of that space in, to kind of make it look like like a moon coming up out of the hills. And I really like how that turned out. Not necessarily this part here. I probably should have just left that open, but I did a little bit of a soft blend there. And for this portion, I'm using the Eclipse Black ink, so that's a nice blending ink too. And using just a pigment white re-inker, that happens to be from Brutus Monroe. I'm going to use my fan brush and give some sparkle there. Not sparkle, it's not shimmery, but give some stars. But I needed more because as soon as I put it onto the paper, it kind of just absorbed right in. So thickening that up a little bit and sprinkling on some more. I'm not really worried that it's on the black or on the hills or anything. I'll wipe that away with my finger and kind of smudge it off. But nice nonetheless, because it gives the appearance of stars in the sky. And then I'm going to do my sentiment, again, stamping with the Eclipse Black ink. The sentiment reads, "Stars cannot shine without darkness." And we're going to ink that up 3 times. The thing about watercolor paper is it absorbs. So you're always going to have to stamp a couple of times, at least 2, maybe 3 times, to get a nice solid impression. So this is the Maker Forte A2 top folding card base. And just using some wide double-sided adhesive that I have to put it onto my card base. And that panel measures 4 by 5 1/4. But that's going to wrap it up, my friends. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Be sure and check the description box below and follow us over on Facebook and share your creations at Maker Forte. We love to see what you guys are creating. Thanks for stopping by. Have a fantastic day. And I'll catch you in the next video.